The final exhibition tune-up for head coach Scott Nagy and the Salukis will be Wednesday night at Lindenwood at 7 o'clock, which means it's time for your Saluki basketball video podcast or audio podcast, wherever you decide to listen to us now. I know everybody wants to see the smiling face of the Hall of Famer, Rodney Watson, now. So now that it is official, he went in. It was a great weekend here in Carbondale. Coach Watson, congratulations again on the induction. And we were just talking about before we started rolling, what was the weekend like? Not just for you personally, but also your family, all your kids virtually were able to be here over the weekend.
It was a first-class experience. I didn't expect anything less, but gosh, they went above and beyond. It's from the hotel accommodations to the actual ceremony. The meal was wonderful. The crystals, who the Watsons know all about. We've eaten a lot of crystal salad. Let me tell you, that was a big highlight in itself. But just to be around, like I mentioned to you earlier, just have a chance to visit with Derek Shelton. For Derek Shelton to come back, MLB guy that was certainly a great Saluki, a Hall of Famer, have a chance to visit with him and just really confirm what a great person he was. Got a chance to meet the other Hall of Famers, got to know him a little bit, and man, it just gives you goosebumps when you think you're standing next to that kind of talent. The football game was great. The Salukis played terrific football. Stadium, just every time I come back, our family, some of them were the first time they've been in the stadium. Just like, you look around and go, man, this place is cool. This is nice. Got a chance to be in the suites. Tim Leonard's suite was, man, just incredible. It was just a first-class deal, and I'm really grateful to I mentioned you and Mike Reese for allowing me to come back, but certainly without going to all details of it, just the many people that Carol and I and our family came in contact in our time in Southern Illinois.
What was your favorite part of the weekend? Outside of just, of course, being able to thank everybody to get the honor to go into the Hall of Fame. For you personally, was there anything that you're going to hold on to maybe a little bit more special now that it's over?
Yeah, now that it's over, being on that stage and looking at the people and having a chance to summarize 21 years, and I was able to do it in 10 minutes, Luke Martin. So you had to be sweating that a little bit. It was fun to. I think as I look back, I think I was able to mention the right people by name. Certainly, here's the one thing, Luke. 21 years at a place. And I'm probably cutting the number short, but directly or indirectly, I was in contact with over 250,000 people. Now, a big part of that is when the campus had 20,000 students, and I didn't get to know every one of them. No. But I tell you what, when it's all said and done, I was probably checking on classes when most of them were going to classes or not. But that's a lot of people. I mean, fans and alums and boosters that are just too many to mention, but so important to just to think that you have a chance to maybe be in that group forever. That part hit me after I left that building that night.
Look, I know he's not going to be a fan that we're bringing this up also in this conversation. He's wanting to hear us talk about the Lindenwood game here on Wednesday, and we'll get to that next opportunity for SAU too. But I know before the Hall of Fame ceremony, you were able to come in here for our official ribbon cutting for this studio, which, of course, is the Wells Production Studio, which is named after Steve Wells, who was the lead donation and, of course, a tremendous friend to you. You are kind of the road that led me to Steve as well and got us connected and to build our friendship. You were able to see this in person. I know virtually this has been your view of it, but now you actually know where we're at on campus. Steve's a really great friend of yours, just what it meant to you to be there for that and see exactly what we have to work with here now in our halls here in Lingle Hall.
Steve embodies that word passion. And again, I can spend the rest of this podcast time talking about all the people I've come in contact that have that same passion. But the studio that was provided by this gift, it's just, I truly mean this to anyone that's watching, kind of come to the game, regardless of where you live, stop by the studio, check it out. It's first class also. That's the thing that those two words are kind of going to come up quite a bit here as we talk about this. We're as good as anybody. And I think if anything, we've got to kind of maybe get out of our own way and realize, hey, this isn't going on everywhere. I tell my friends at Southern Indiana, they have a tremendous booster club. that does enormous work. And I just tell them, this is not many schools do this. Well, at Southern Illinois, the things that we're doing there, just from that studio and with your vision of that, and the help you got from so many of our friends. You look at the Welcome Center that Roger Tedrick had a big part in putting up. You drive on campus, you're like, whoa, that used to be the space of a football stadium we tried to hide. And now it's like, gosh, that is beautiful. And it's just one thing after another. Such beautiful things are going on. But the part that I hope will never be lost is what I started my talk about, was just what a great university it is. And it's not corny, it's a fact. When you can go to a place, just real briefly, when I was on the road recruiting, especially in the suburbs of Chicago, yeah, I'd start my discussion with the young prospect, with their parents, and almost inevitably, mom or dad would say, SIU's, it's this, and I don't think this is the right place for him. And I would automatically, without breaking stride, say, do you realize that we have a law school, med school, engineering? And I would go through the business school and education and architecture and now nursing and all these things. And I would pause, and whoever kind of gave us that little nudge, they would say to me inevitably, you got a law school? You got a med school? And from then on, it's like, we talked basketball, we talked about academics, and we talked about, we got to it. But this is a great university, and that should not be lost on anyone, regardless of this new era of whatever we call professional sports. But man, this university is a great one. And I've got a daughter that has a marketing degree. And if you want to talk more about it, you catch me or her, and we'll tell you all about how important that degree is.
Well, let's get into the basketball part of this conversation, Coach Watson. And it's been 10 days since we record this, since we saw the first version in that first exhibition game against Austin Peay. It was a win for SIU, 84-79. Calron House was no doubt a star in the game, played in 30 minutes, scored 29 points, had 5 rebounds as well in the ball game. Just now you've had time, 10 days. We're about to get the second look at in this exhibition against Lindenwood on Wednesday. Anything different really come to your mind in the last 10 days when you had some time just to sit on it and digest that game a little bit more?
Actually, when I was driving home, and I've thought a lot about this and in the last parts of the last 10 days, I was so impressed with our returning players and how important it is to have those guys to be in the better position than the new guys. It's nothing against the new guys, but just like, going through, especially the 5 guys that came back that had experience on the court a year ago, they were in better position on things. And that part is great, because that gives the new guys, just by vision and kinesthetically, they can move into better position. And that's what I'm going to be looking for in this next one, just, especially what I'll call the new additions, where they are on the defensive end, off the ball primarily. Now, on the ball, that'll get there. But I thought a lot about that. I mean, man, is it great to start a season knowing you have a true point guard, and he's got help too. While we didn't see Caden Hawkins, we may or may not sure what his future is going to be this year. I don't know what that plan is, but there's certainly there's hope that Jalen Haynes will step in and help as well. But Kelron he's a legitimate point guard, and then to see that you have depth inside now. Jaheim Weber and Jorge Moreno didn't play a lot because of the opponent, kind of the way they played the game with a lot of perimeter 5-out stuff. But man, you're going to win games when you have a point guard and bigs inside that are productive. And then you talk about the other pieces. I thought Oligbe really showed himself this week as being a guy that's really made major steps. What that told me was he put the work in. I kind of chuckle a little bit when kids talk about because I think it's overused by some people that don't know what that 4-letter word means. Oligbe showed he did, and Rollins really was in good position throughout the night, and I thought his teammates used him wisely. I'd like to continue to see that advance. Hey, this is not a finished product by any stretch, and that's what I find is to be exciting.
Well, and we were not to just repeat what we talked about in the post-game show, but in the aftermath, look, it's those areas as coaches that you try to drill within practice. I just left practice from the day, and you do situational stuff. You do the last 4 minutes. You do a 2-minute period where you're in a tie game or you're down in those situations. Then there's real adversity. When you get into these games, Coach Watson, the Salukis had real adversity in this game They started well, and then Austin P really kind of took control there in the middle, led by as many as 12. Saluki's had to make that comeback and go on that run late in the final 10 minutes. And you looked at me in the middle of it, even before Southern came back. You turned to me and said, Luke, this is going to be really good for this team. I know you feel that way even more 10 days removed.
Yeah, I think it was about. I think it was the under 8 timeout. When I said that to you, I go, we are so much better off being down 8 with 8 to go than we are being up 20 right now, and it having a purposeless meaning. And I think a lot of that goes to playing an opponent that has really has something to prove themselves. Austin P was a good opponent. Because they're getting ready for an NCAA appearance, as opposed to us playing a team from I used to call it a third world country back in the days when we couldn't play NCAA teams, or you play a lesser team, like, you play a Division II team or a Division III team, and those guys are good, but they just don't have the depth or the size to really test you when you need it. And it's at that 8-minute mark on. I mean, you can't script that. Would you have felt better about your team if you're up 30? I guess. I mean, as a fan, we would. But from a coach's standpoint, you go home and say to yourself, what'd we get out of this really? Well, what was really cool about it for Southern is his coach played 10 guys, and he played them pretty heavy minutes. And it was obvious that some guys are more ready than other guys, but you don't get ready unless you get experience. So I thought all those things were good. Here's the other thing, and let's not kid ourselves. In October and November and throughout the year, you got to practice winning. Now, is that your number one goal in this thing? Do you go home miserable if you get beat? You don't feel great. But in reality, you talked about Josh Schertz, a great coach now at St. Louis. You saw him at Indiana State, and you talked about how they did so much 5-on-5 stuff, and he practiced winning the game. Like, that is a big deal. We practice a lot of breakdowns. Every coach does it. Coach Schertz does it, no doubt about it. But coaches also, the good ones, really practice winning. And it's kind of like playing a video game. Pretty soon you figure out how to win the video game. Well, college basketball has more variables than that, but I really thought there was a lot of production in that last one, and there's going to be a lot of production in this game against Lindenwood.
Again, in the game against Austin P, again, it's just one exhibition game, but Drew Steffi led everybody in minutes with 34 minutes. What's allowed him to be that guy for this team? What you see from him, again, you look through his stat line, nothing like extremely eye-popping, but when you're out there for as many minutes as he is, he's obviously doing something correctly that the coaches notice, that even my role may not notice to a great extent, or even the common fan. But it's clear that Drew is a guy that this staff really trusts.
Drew Steffi is sneaky big. He is a big guard. I don't know if we could call him 6'5" or 6'6", but he's all of it, and he's thick. And he's the third-year college player. So what I loved about, and I noticed in the game, and I think there was only one time in the first half where he got stuck. But when Drew Steffi gets the ball off a ball reversal, off the second, third pass, when the defense has to shift, especially early in the season when very few people help side defense to recovery we're just not ready yet. Drew is so efficient in using his dribble into open areas. He's also smart in how he passes to the post. But Drew really took the ball on the dribble wisely. He puts the defense in a bind when they're going from their help side defense to the recovery to him. In the first half, one time he got to the baseline and he just couldn't get that opening. I think they got the ball back. Other than that, I felt like, and this isn't maybe accurate, I felt like Southern had something good happen, whether they scored, they got fouled, or something, every time Drew got the ball in that situation. On the flip side, Drew is really sneaky defensively because he's an outstanding, the way college basketball and all of basketball is played right now, a lot of switching, a lot of five-man switching, and if not, it's almost typically you've got to switch 1 through 4 because of Drew's size. When he gets mismatched, and Austin P thought, okay, we'll get a guard big ball screen and we'll put Drew Steffi in the mismatch inside. He's big, he's long, he gets on the high side of the low post. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit later on about the 10-foot zone and how important it is to Coach Nagy, Coach Hawkins, and the coaching staff, and I love that terminology. They're really big on defending that 10-foot zone, which is around the basket in the lane, and keeping the ball out of that 10-foot zone. But as a guard, Drew can switch on to big guys, and he's got sneaky strength, and he can push guys out. He can get on high side, and he has long arms. And I know one time again in the second half when the game was really important and Southern's trying to make their run, he got in a switch. He got on the high side. Austin P made just a high-low pass and went out of bounds. Southern got the ball back. That doesn't show up on a stat sheet. Okay, and now the things I just mentioned don't show up on the stat sheet unless that pass he makes is a direct assist. Man, Drew Steffi does a lot of those things that coaches see on film, see with their own eyes. That your team has to have it.
One of those areas too, the energy piece, if that's really what you want to phrase it. Sometimes it could be a very lazy way to describe it, not in terms of more detail, Coach Watson. But in that second half, what ultimately got the spark starter, one of the spark starters, was no doubt Damian Mayo's play in that second half. 6 rebounds. The majority of those came, it felt like, in the first 5 minutes of that half. It's clear when Damian, and we saw this at times last year, when he's making those extra effort plays, when he's diving for a rebound that's almost clearly out of bounds and throwing it back in like in Chicago, those lead to winning plays. Again, it's an exhibition. It's one of those, Coach Nagy said, guys didn't get off to necessarily the best of starts in that game, and that happens to start off the year. But, man, I guess what is the biggest thing right now when you look at it when it comes to a guy like Damian Mayo of, man, when he is impacting the game, when he is touching winning in all those ways, this guy helps the Saluki team tremendously, and that really showed in the game. When he was impacting it, it showed.
Yeah, one of those offensive rebounds came off a missed free throw. On the back end of a missed free throw, the other came off a missed shot, and I think he had a third one as well. It's something we talked to him earlier when we talked about how important he will be offensively. When I was kind of holding him accountable for it, well, give me a measured way you're going to score, and then we started talking about offensive rebounds. If that guy can get 3 offensive rebounds that lead to a putback, those are 6 points, and then he gets fouled a bunch. Because I think the way he plays. I'll throw Davion Sykes in this conversation as well. Both of those together, those guys have a nose for the ball. What brings that about? They're fourth-year guys. They're fourth-year college guys. These are grown men, man, and they are physical. They have senior physical strength. They have senior mental strength. As a senior, when you've played at this level throughout your career, you see those opportunities. The other thing, Luke, is that he has experience to know. Unlike younger, inexperienced players, he knows, hey, this missed free throw, I'm going to get it back, and we're going to get a bucket. What that does for Southern is that gives them an opportunity to go to that free throw line and not worry so much about, it takes that jitter out of your shot. It allows you to shoot it smoothly, knowing you got a guy like Sykes and Mayo that can get in that third slot, and they're going to get that long rebound, and we're going to get a bucket anyway. Those aren't little things; those are gigantic things. Again. The offensive rebound shows up, but that being in a position, holding the opponent accountable, it's just so critical.
Well, let's go ahead and just look towards Wednesday and opportunity again. It's the last one before you begin the regular season. Lindenwood's been one of those programs that has been able to make that transition now to the Division I level, and Coach Gerdman. Not going to get a ton into their roster because we're just focusing it from a Saluki perspective, but you hinted at it in one of your earlier answers, Coach Watson. Where are your eyes going? Where should Saluki fans' eyes be going as they listen to us on Wednesday to describe this game in some important areas?
Well, let's go back to Lindenwood for a second. I mean, they've got a really good 6-foot point guard like we do. They've got 6'5" guards. They've got 6'9" and 6'10" length inside. So Southern's going to get some true measure in that respect. But where my eyes are. My eyes are a brutal November-December travel schedule. They play 8 tough road games at Nevada, at North Dakota State, neutral Delaware, neutral at UAB, which are in Florida, at Memphis, at High Point, at Richmond, at Bradley, all before Christmas time. So just playing on the road, this was a smart move to go on the road and get the sense of how you have to approach a road trip. That's number one. 2 things that must happen in November, December, and this is where all coaches' eyes are. I don't care who you are. Defense and rebounding have to travel. They have to, because sometimes you're going to make shots, sometimes you're not. Just sometimes that part just doesn't go smoothly, and especially on the road. But You've got to. Our eyes and our brains are on the defensive stuff, and it's on the rebounding part. I love Coach Nagy's his approach to rebounding. Man, it is right there in the wheelhouse of all the four guys I worked with at SIU, and then hopefully what we tried to do when I left. But rebounding is so critical because it gives you extra possessions. It limits theirs. Let's talk about the defensive end. It's the new additions I refer to inside Prince Aligbe and Jaheim Weber, who are inexperienced. Prince has got a lot of experience in college basketball, but it's a different terminology. It's a different philosophy slightly. And I don't know how they played at BC, and I don't know what they did at Seton Hall, but Prince was getting duck in a little bit deep against Austin Peay. I want to see him utilize, and both he and Jaheim Weber. Jaheim will get more minutes in this game because Southern's going to need him, and I think the Lions will play some big guys, but those two guys, those new additions inside, have a post presence defensively. Use that 10-foot zone. Trust the fact that you can be physical with your forearm off the ball and move guys out of that 10-foot zone, which Southern got good at in February last year. Getting above the man. Coach Nagy does not want to front the low post because he knows good teams will seal you and throw over the top and shoot and dunk, layups and dunks. But if you notice Rollins Aligbe, Rollins did a great job of being above his man, not fronting, but just being above. So he would deny or take away the angle of the pass inside or make that pass where the offensive player had to step further outside a good, clean shooting range where he took away his angle. I'm looking for that inside. On the perimeter, the new guys, Hal Stafford, Picard and Haynes, those guys have got to really show a little bit more readiness off the ball. Just, again, getting used to off-the-ball defense. The on-the-ball's easy to measure. Look, I've talked about how Coach Weber helped me get my eyes off the ball as an assistant. So I became a better coach. Secondly, I helped our team because everyone – Coach's eyes are on the ball. Your eyes are on the ball. I tell you, Luke, my eyes are going to be off the ball as an analyst to help you with things that are going on. Those new guys have got to start trusting the position. And one thing that I hope that we'll be able to see is how they move, and not just those four, but everybody, how SIU's defense moves on every dribble and every pass, because every dribble and every pass require you to be in a different off-the-ball defense. We're always anticipating getting ready to close out our man so we can pressure the ball, challenge the shot, challenge the dribble, and the pass. But it's off the ball that gets you ahead up. We talk about moving on airtime. Airtime is when the ball leaves the hand, either it goes to the floor on a dribble or through the air on a pass. How will these guys improve in the last 9-10 days with their airtime movement to get that defense ready? When they get those things ready, it helps you become a better rebound, certainly makes it tougher for the defense to score. Those things are critical. The last piece that I'm looking for and something I'm really excited about, because it's something we didn't do. Coach Herron did a little bit. Coach Weber, Coach Painter, Coach Lauer, and even myself, when I got my chance to make decisions, we didn't utilize full court pressure. I love this 1-2-2 3-quarter pressure. It really changed the game. It took away. Austin Peay was able to run their offense off the 3-point arc. They're moving the ball really however they wanted. They were good, man. They were good with moving the ball, skipping across the floor, using their dribble wise. I love the way that Southern, and look, who cares if people know we do this? We knew Creighton was going to do it. Dana Alton did it all the time. I asked Coach Weber, is he doing that at Oregon? And he goes, no, he just can't teach it anymore. It takes teaching, and because of the new people. And so Dana's not doing it, but we kind of made fun of him for not guarding anybody until we started looking at the win-loss record. It's like, yeah, maybe they're a little better than we thought. Well, Southern's 3-quarter pressure, man. I can't wait for the game to start to see that. It's a great change-up curveball as opposed, in addition to your fastball man-to-man defense. So those things are critical. The offensive side, it's just a continuation. It's spacing, it's ball movement, it's weak side basket cuts. It's something that I love this staff for coaching it. Did it way better than I ever did. I saw a team at Bellarmine did a great job of it, and I could never get there. I love what Coach Nagy and his staff does with weak side basket cuts. Man, it is so tough to guard because, look, what are you doing? You're attacking weak side help. So strong side defense is where the ball's at. You're going to give pressure on the ball, and everybody's in their gaps, and then someone on the weak side's got to come cover the middle, which means there's usually at least two guys that are being guarded by one. If you can develop that weak side basket cut action, man, it's tough, and I'm anxious to see that continue to develop. Won't be great Wednesday night, but I love to see the approach. I know when it comes. post touches, it's a big part of this system. And Southern's got guys that can score in the post, multiple guys that can score in the post, guards that can score in the post. I can think of 6 guys that can really get buckets inside the way Southern wants to play. Going to be fun to see those touches and finishes. And then perimeter shooting. That's something that's easiest for fans to pick up on. How will our perimeter shooting keep getting better and better? Isaiah Stafford is a terrific shooter. And if you don't believe me, ask all the people that have tried to guard him throughout his 4 years of college basketball. He can really shoot it. Did it happen the other night? Nope, and it didn't need to. But now, he's just one. But it's going to be fun to see Steffi to get into more of his spot on the floor. House is more of a scorer. Southern's got shooters. It's going to be fun to see how they develop that perimeter shooting game in addition to the inside-out touches.
Yeah, final tune-up for SIU before the start of the regular season, which is next week. As man, where did the time go? Which that will be against McKendree on November 3rd. But before that, it's going to be Wednesday night at Lindenwood. Again, we will have the coverage for you on Saluki Radio. We will start with our pregame show, brief pregame show at 6:55, and then tip-off will be shortly after around 7 o'clock. Now, that's the important news. Now, before I let you go, Coach Watson, I do have a bone to pick with you, and that is because of all the conversations that we have had, and we've talked a lot of Saluki football in our conversations that you and I have off the air. You know how desperately Mike Trude has been waiting for a punt return of any kind, let alone one that goes to the house for 81 yards. I was so mad. I thought you were going to hop in the booth with me and come give him a hug. I was waiting for you to appear from the suite level, but apparently just the suite level just got to you too much, and you didn't want to come join the radio booth there for that moment.
It was the free food in the suite level, by the way, and those Oreo cookies dipped in a pound of chocolate. That'll help me get some weight back on. No, what a great game. Gosh, I was so impressed with the way Nick Hill's team performed. And let me tell you, we've seen enough in my years there, we saw Northern Iowa have enough success on our campus that to last us a lifetime. It was fun to beat a basketball or a football program, and great for them. Every game's a big one, man, from here on out. There's a lot riding, and just can't wait to see their continued success.
I thought you were going to say, well, and Trude's full of crap because he said that he would jump out the window when that would happen. And guess what? It didn't happen. I mean, Coach Watson, you got to live up to your word now, right? Come on.
I heard you guys say that, by the way. I did hear you say that. So just so you know, I'm thinking, did they just say I would jump out the window? I'm not fell out of the Jeep on the parade, I'll tell you that. Man. Woody Thorne is the best driver. Even he couldn't keep me steady, but that was a lot of fun as well. No, great weekend on that last weekend, and terrific win for the football team.
Coach Watson, looking forward to Wednesday, and then man, it will be on us in terms of the regular season and our travel as well, which we'll have many more conversations to come. The Hall of Famer Ronnie Watson, I am Luke Martin. We will talk to you Wednesday from just outside of St. Louis, there in St. Charles on the campus of Lindenwood. As always, Saluki Nation, go Dogs.